Welcome to the first episode of Against the Pods, to scare you then, hosted by myself and Conor. Conor, how are you, mate?
Yeah, really good, thank you. Excited to be here, looking forward to getting the first episode underway.
Great, let's kick straight into it. Today's guest spent 13 years at Villa, working his way through the club's academy. He's been at Leicester, Accrington, and he's currently signed to Darren Moore's Port Vale. It is... Mitch Clark. Welcome, Mitch.
It's a bit of an underwhelming person to bring on the first guest, isn't it?
How you doing, bro?
I'm really good, thank you. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this.
Done a podcast before?
No, I ain't the very first one, actually.
Nor are we, mate, so it'll probably be fucking interesting today.
Yeah, it's going to be an experience, mate. And obviously just wanted to say massive thank you, because it's obviously coming on, being vulnerable, talking about all your struggles and stuff like that. But obviously, most importantly, probably the recovery side of it. Now you've come through it, and if it hits the right crowd and the right person sees it, then job done, you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. I think that's obviously the aim, isn't it? So
Yeah, nice one, mate.
Is this the first time you telling your story or opening up to someone about your full story, or have you done it before? Or
apart from my family and obviously my partner, and probably like when I've been on with counselling and that, other than that, like I ain't really spoke to anyone. Obviously, when I've been at football, like people asking me questions, I'll answer, but I ain't probably gone into proper detail of what it's been like.
So, okay. Well, to shadow what Conor said, mate, very grateful to have you here. Appreciate your time. And hopefully this, not just this episode, but this sort of platform in general helps other people, whether they play sports or not, that may have gambling problems or other addictions, come forward and discuss it, really. And that's the whole point why we've put this podcast together. I think a good starting point for yourself would probably be Bedworth Eagles.
Yeah, what club
the
that
mighty
is,
Eagles, eh?
Let's start with Bedworth Eagles, mate. What age did you join them?
I think if I remember rightly, I started going to the mini soccer at the age of about 4.
Okay.
And I think I ended up playing for the under-7s when I was 5.
So 2 years ahead.
2 years ahead.
Yeah.
And I remember you remember like the recording things.
Yeah.
I used to watch myself back on then and thinking, you weren't very good. Well, I was 5 at the time, but yeah, Bedworth Eagles was really good. Had some really good. I was probably only there for 3 years in total, because I ended up going with Villa. I was obviously when I was 7, but my old man was the gaffer there, and
Daddy's boy.
Yeah, Daddy's boy, and I think a fair few of the parents didn't like that either. But the day I was good anyway, so it made up for it. But we won a lot of trophies, and what a club, I can't praise that club enough.
And was the aim always, I know it sounds sort of cliche saying it, but even when you were 4 or 5, was the aim, I want to be a professional footballer, or was it just enjoy yourself and see what happens?
I think it was, like, obviously, majority of lads that love football want to be a professional footballer. But I think for me, I was just enjoying playing with my friends. Like, Dad obviously being the manager was obviously good for me.
Yeah.
I think, like, my granddad was probably my biggest fan. He said when I was, I think, 7, if this kid ain't a footballer, I'll eat my hat. And like that was in his diary, and like obviously I've kept that diary ever since.
Class.
I think so. I think obviously, like I said, every kid wants to be a footballer.
And from like when you joined, I know you just said you played, was it 2 years above?
Yeah.
Did you feel that you were kind of head and shoulders above everyone else, like ability-wise, or not?
Obviously, I wouldn't say 2 years above like this. Like lads that are 2 years above me, I wouldn't say I was head and shoulders. But my age, it was obviously clear that I was miles ahead of people. And I don't know what that was really down to. Like, I can't ever remember, like, my dad taking me down the park, teaching me to do stuff and that. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was kind of like I got a football at my feet from an early age. And like, it just clicked, really.
Just talent, raw talent.
So I think it was more of that. Like I said, you can't...
Have they got, really like, a memorial of you at the Bedworth Eagles ground, or...?
Nah, I wish. I don't even
the Mitch Clark bar.
I don't even think that any of them realise who I am anymore. Do you know what I mean? Like,
So 3 years at Bedworth Eagles, roughly. 2006, I think it was. Villa come knocking. How's that for a 7-8-year-old to be playing locally with your mates, and then all of a sudden you're in sort of a Premier League football club youth setup? What's that feeling like?
Yeah, it was crazy. I think first of all, not many people know, but I went obviously to Cov when I was 5.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, but I'll tell you a story actually.
Go on.
Went to Cov when I was 5 and went there and obviously doing the training, and because I was so young and I was training with the older people, just kept doing roly-polies. And like they went to my mum and dad, like, just bring him back in a year or so, like when he's a bit older.
What?
So yeah, I was at Cov. I went to Leicester. I was going Villa, so all three of them at the same time. Then I remember one day when I was at Bedford Eagles, Man United scout to come watch me. Like, so obviously they've got a little setup in Warsaw.
Right.
And my mum and dad were like a bit far, like obviously not like greatest money in the family, like driving, like thinking United, like end up going Villa, and obviously that proceeded, and it was a very good choice of career.
Brilliant choice in my opinion as well, mate. What was the transition like? You're playing local youth football to then training in an academy all the time. Is it sort of, in terms of standard, have you gone from people playing around you that weren't great to suddenly, fucking hell, these are good, even though they're young, these are good players?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think straight away when I went into Villa, like majority of the lads were from Birmingham.
Yeah.
All played against each other, knew who each other were, and obviously being the outsider was a bit like.
Yeah.
But you could just tell straight away, like the standard was like top.
Yeah.
Like you had to be on your A game to even like get anywhere near it, sort of thing. And it was good because it took me out of my comfort zone at a very early age.
Yeah.
Which, if you ask me, is probably one of the best things that you can do as a person, is take yourself out of the comfort zone, see how you can deal with that. I think for me, that's probably what helped me succeed.
Yeah.
Putting out my comfort zone for definite.
And I know you just said then that obviously joining, everyone probably already knew each other that was already in the team. How do you kind of break into that kind of scene? Is it just you earn respect on the pitch, or?
Yeah, I'd probably say that it's hard to like interact, like get to know people, especially like when you're an outsider. Like,
yeah.
I think you earn your respect on the pitch. I know we're talking like 7, 8 year olds, but at the end of the day, like if you're crap, they ain't gonna like you, are they? Like they don't want anyone crap in their team. So
football does the talking.
Yeah, football does the talking, sort of thing. And I'd probably say it took a few years for me to fully get in with the mix. Like people actually starting to talk to me and that, which doesn't bother me because at the end of the day I was there to play football. But yeah, it was hard, definitely really hard. But
I think I'll probably jump in your car so you can't drive away and have an hour where you're talking about Villa. But obviously for the podcast purposes I can't. To finish up, a few more points on Villa. So as you progress through the academy, what age do you start thinking professional contract? Is that like 10, 12, 14? Is it? Do you know what I mean? Is there a point where you start thinking, am I going to get a professional contract? Or because obviously I've seen a stat recently. Is it 0.001% of?
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's a phenomenal stat, mate, in terms of the amount of young English players that make it to a professional level. Yeah, mate, it's so low. Don't quote me on that, but it's something like that. So yeah, I mean, personally, I've just thought like the pressure of saying being a 15-year-old in an academy. Surely in the back of your head when you're in your training or you make a mistake, you're thinking professional contract at the end of this. I shouldn't. Do you know what I mean? Like, is there any of that or?
Yeah, well, I think like through an academy, I don't know what it's like now because I'm old now, 25. But like when I was there, it was a case of like every age group you were at, you'd get a mid review and an end of your review.
Yeah.
And at the end of the review, like the managers of the age group would bring you and your parents in. No, sorry, not me. The parents in and say like, oh, we're going to keep him on or let him go, sort of thing. And you're sat outside waiting.
Yeah.
So it's a case of just going year by year.
It's like school when you misbehave, isn't it?
Year
Your mum and
by
dad's in
year,
there.
like just on the edge of your seat constantly. And the fact that it's your parents going in and you're waiting outside with like toes, fingers, everything crossed, hoping like you're going to be there next year is crazy. I'd probably say starting thinking about like a scholarship, professional contracts, probably like under 15, 16s when like it's getting close to the full-time step sort of thing.
So for you, that thinking about a professional contract come around the same time as you got called up by Wales as well then?
Yeah.
Was that around the same period or am I out there?
I think so, yeah. I think I was, was it under 17s, I believe?
Was it 17s and 19s for Wales?
Yeah, 17s and 19s.
You captained one of them as well, yeah?
19s, yeah. 17s team and 19s team. 17s team was unbelievable, by the way.
Go on.
Tyler Roberts, Ben Woodburn, Ethan Ampadu. Rabbi Matondo, who's at Rangers now, I think he was at Shakhtar. Liam Cullen, who's at Swansea.
Good group of boys then.
Yeah,
Quality.
it probably underachieved. Like I was there thinking, what am I doing here? Like looking back now, like what am I doing there?
How did Wales come about? I feel like obviously you're born in like Nuneaton, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm born in Nuneaton.
Trying to do you dirty here, mate.
Yeah, well, no, my nan was born in Wales, which makes me eligible to play from. I think it was actually played in. I can't remember. Cymru Cup, which is like North Wales, South Wales, and then like the Wales development squad that gets picked, and you have to go through trials for it when you're under 15s.
Right.
And I eventually like got picked for it, and then it just eventually carried on from there to the 17s. But it was just based from my nan. Grateful for it because I got to play international football. Obviously, not made my debut for Wales first team. Still a goal for me.
Nice.
If it comes, it comes. If it doesn't, then I can still say I played international level with some good players.
Yeah, definitely. 2017, we'll fast forward. Steve Bruce gives you your debut for Villa in a 4-1 win against Wigan in the FL Cup. And I couldn't believe this, left back. So, I mean, I know you're a right back. I know you wear the number 7 now, but you're a right back.
Bizarre.
What's that like, being told that you're starting a game at fucking left back when you're a right back and it's your first team appearance?
It's actually crazy because I'm probably a person that I don't big myself up on a football pitch like or in the change room like I proper like down to earth. Like I wouldn't say I was better than anyone. Like I always put negatives on myself. So I always played up an age group all the way through football. So when I was 18, I was playing 21s, etc. And obviously, I think I was like 18, 19 debut. I can't remember what age I was.
18, I think you were.
Weren't training first team, nothing.
You weren't?
Weren't training first team, nothing. And like, Kevin McDonald come up to me and went,
I remember Kevin McDonald.
yeah, what a guy he is, by the way.
Is he a good guy?
Oh, he's unbelievable.
He's took over. He's like first team coach for 3 or 4 times, isn't he?
Yeah, he's unbelievable. I just remember him coming up to me saying, yeah, you train with the first team today. And I was like, yeah, like no problem. Like, he didn't tell me I was like playing. And we all just went up to training and they started doing the shape and then he goes, Mitch, left back. And I'm thinking, I'm looking at the team obviously because like Callaware and like Jake Dorley's in it. So 3 under 23s like in the squad. I'm thinking, like just doing the shape for the other team. No, it turns out like starting the game and I was thinking to myself, what is going on here?
With the nerves?
Nerves, I tell you something. I got to that game. I'd thrown up before the game. When I got to the game, when I got out onto the pitch at half time, and then the whole second half, I must have been thrown up through the whole 45 minutes. I was that nervous.
What is that from nerves as well?
Just pure nerves.
Wow.
Like I was thinking, cameras on me. You know what I mean? Like, but honestly, that's probably the best experience I've ever had in my life, and I couldn't thank like the gaffer Steve Bruce enough. Like it was like playing in front of the old end was crazy.
Yeah, well, I was in there as well, mate. As I said off camera, I was there. Cool. And in terms of experience, making your debut in EFL Cup, like you say, in front of the whole end, probably 30,000+ there for the game, 25,000+, something like that. Great, mate. Class.
Yeah.
And I bet you remember it well.
Oh yeah, I still go on the highlights now and watch it. Remind me of I was actually a decent player. But no, that honestly, that experience was crazy. And the fact that, like I said to you off air, like I nearly scored, still remember that to the day. Like if that went in, it would have been crazy.
Class.
Is that the biggest crowd you've played in front of?
No, Sunderland. There was 32,000 there.
Was that
2 years ago? Yeah, at Stadium of Light. That was. Crazy.
I cannot imagine
for a League One game when I was at Aki. It was crazy.
Someone passing the ball to me and 32,000 people watching.
What's your rugby record attendance?
54 people.
Sound right. 2018. So a year after you make your debut. Debut. I'm Australian. Debut. Signed a professional contract with Villa. Sent out on loan to Port Vale, where you made 40 appearances that year. Did you want a loan move? Does the manager sit down with you and tell you you're getting sent out on loan? How does all that come about?
That season was bizarre in terms of the start of the season because it was obviously Steve Bruce was still there. It was when the money problem started happening.
Yeah.
And
Tony Cha, the chairman.
We obviously went Portugal. Like, he sat us down in the centre circle in Portugal and said, "This is the squad for the season." And I'm thinking, let's go, big bucks. And obviously in Portugal, obviously Grealish was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could have went a different way for him, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, but obviously, thankfully, he stayed for a few years and he's doing really well for himself. But
You still speak to him?
No, he probably only remember who I am now. But yeah, that season was crazy. And like sitting in the centre circle, got back. Obviously, that normal friendly, the Kidderminster Telford game, played against Telford. Then new owners like were coming in, and the gaffer just pulled me and went, "Gonna send you out on loan instead of like staying here playing 23s. Go and get some games, come back, and then we'll reassess it." And obviously, I did want to like when I heard that like. I was 19, so I wanted to play first team football. I played a season of 23s. Like, it does nothing for your career playing 23s football. I'll be honest. Like,
really,
I tell everyone now that's like the young lads at Port Vale. Like,
get out on loan.
If you ain't playing first team, go out on loan. It's the best thing you'll ever do. As soon as you come back, you won't want to play.
And sorry to interrupt. And by that, I'm guessing what you mean is you're playing under 23s. You might have 30% of the team that don't really want to be playing. A few lads that should be in the first team that have maybe been dropped. So by going out on loan, you bigger challenge, getting more minutes.
Yeah, 100%.
Better experience in terms of being involved with the first and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I think obviously younger lads now look at league football and think it's crap. It's crap. It's not because there's some big teams in like League One and that. And obviously you look at like Wrexham now, like they're flying.
Yeah.
The standard of football in the lower league isn't actually bad.
Yeah.
It is good. Like there is some very good players out there, and it's so much more physical and like fitness wise, it's crazy. Like the step up. And obviously, thankfully, I got 40 games under my belt that season, and we were in a relegation battle, and it was one of the toughest mentally going because we were in relegation battle, and I was so young.
Yeah.
But it done me the world of good going forward, sort of thing. Do you know what I mean?
Like you said earlier about coming out of your comfort zone, same experience here, innit?
Yeah.
Going out on loan, out of your comfort zone, but having to mature probably quite quickly throughout that season, playing 40 games, pretty much played all year, didn't you?
Yeah. I think I missed 3 games with I think I had like a 1B hamstring, like just a little like.
You get sent
tweak.
Or was that something another loan?
No, that was my second loan spell. I got sent off. Yeah, won a penalty, then I got sent off in like 93rd minute for like 2-footing someone.
I won't dig into that now. So at this point, and we haven't mentioned gambling yet. Had gambling played a part in your life up until this point, being at Villa or Port Vale?
While I was at Villa, no.
Yep.
As soon as I went to Port Vale, that's when it started.
So that's when it's your first loan move to Port Vale. That's when it all started for you.
Yeah.
And do you want to talk us through how, sort of where it come from? Is it because if I think about my story, obviously I'm still in recovery now. I started gambling at 17. Didn't stop till I was 29. Lost over £250,000 throughout that period. I had the physical impacts of self-harming, punching myself in the face, pulling my hair out. Financial impacts on 70 grand a year, couldn't get a telephone contract. Mental impact, struggling with leaving the house, depression, anxiety sometimes, lying to loved ones and family. So for me, in my opinion, where mine come from was university, transitioning from further education to higher education. I had a student loan coming in, I had a part-time job, and mate, it was easy for me to just gamble on things. I started with a footy because I knew about footy, bought FIFA every year, played Football Manager every year, felt knowledgeable about football because I was at the Villa. But then as soon as I started to earn more money, fucking Kenyan police force against Nairobi and Fenerbahce's volleyball team and betting on things I have no idea about purely to chase that buzz of having a bet on. So how did it start for you at Port Vale?
Yeah, it was a case of 19, first loan spell, moved up there on my own.
Yeah.
So I was in an apartment on my own all the time. Would get into train for 9 o'clock. I'd be done by 12. I've got that much time after, and the casino was 5 minutes away.
Yeah.
I was like, I'll just pop to the casino, like spend an hour or so there. Did end up getting worse and worse, spending 5-6 hours chasing my money 24/7, and it was the case of like it wasn't even enjoyable. Like,
Yeah.
it was just the fact, like, going there, spending my money, but then losing it to just chase it.
Yeah.
Was crazy. But my head was telling me, you've got to keep going. Like,
Yeah.
You've got to keep going. But I think what it come down to is boredom at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I was so bored that I resorted into just going to gamble.
Yeah.
To take my mind, make it occupied. But it was the worst thing I could have possibly ever done in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think just going off that, I think for me, obviously struggling with my own addiction as well, I hated it towards the end. I despised it. Like, I just didn't know how to stop. I couldn't stop. I would wake up the next day and I'd do it all over again and again. And that's just the kind of same feelings that you have.
Yeah. For me, I stopped gambling last April. I believe it is a year today I've stopped gambling.
What, you're on here as well?
Yeah,
Congrats, mate.
Right,
Yeah,
congrats.
I believe so. So yeah,
Smashing it, man.
So what was that? Good, like 6 years or so gambling. Like you just said, then I think after the first year, I hated it, but
Yeah.
I just continued to go because no one understands like what's going through your head at the time, is there? Like, do you know what I mean? And I just hated it, but I just still kept going, and it was nuts. Obviously, you'll probably go into detail further on, but with regards to Aki, but what happened at Aki was the best thing that ever happened in my life.
In terms of sorting you out for the future.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so I think boredom is it's one of the main things I touch on when I go out and do the work with Against the Odds with 18 to 24-year-olds, boredom. And you look at the way, we'll come on to this, but you look at the way that players are being punished by the FA. There's bans coming into place. And don't get me wrong, you breached it 300 and whatever times. We'll come on to it later. But yes, there should be a punishment, but banning someone is, like Ivan Toney, for example, he was told he couldn't go to the training ground for 6 months. If he's at home all the time, that's going to create more boredom.
Yeah.
So for me, as I said, we'll come on to it. But so gambling started at Port Vale then. Was it a situation where you seen something advertised and thought, well, I'll have a bash at that? Did you see Mourinho or one of these celebs pop up on an advert and that? How did it come about?
I can't really remember, but obviously being my first football league club,
Yeah.
you're already sponsored by these betting companies, so I'm seeing it everywhere, do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
So could I say it's that? Probably.
Sound. All right, Mitch, we'll come back to that in a second. Just finishing on Villa. So you went on loan to Port Vale for a year, come back, and then, I didn't realise this, but it was Dean Smith that released you from your contract. Is that right?
Yeah.
So you've done 40 appearances, sorry to interrupt, mate, 40 appearances for 45 appearances for Port Vale, told to go out on loan, get some experience. You couldn't have got any more experience than what you've got for the amount of games you played. Come back to Villa, and then what does that conversation look like?
Yeah, so obviously Steve Bruce was the gaffer.
Right.
Went out on loan. I think it was about November time, October time, wherever it was, he got sacked.
Yeah.
And Dean Smith come in, and I remember playing Bury at home, and his assistant come and watch. Can't even remember his name. Don't even want to remember his name, to be honest.
Bruce's assistant?
No, Dean Smith's assistant come watch me at Bury.
Richard O'Kelly?
Yes, come and watch me. And by the way, this was my best game of the season. And me and my agent met him in the Belfry to like speak about like what's going on. And he basically just said to me, he said, obviously I've come to watch, I've spoke to like the management and that. Like, this was in like January, I think so. He was like, yeah, we just don't think like you're going to be good enough for like the first team. Well, I'm getting told this while I'm out on loan, like, no, I've got to play the season.
Yeah.
So that was a hard one to like take.
20-year-old, 19-year-old?
Yeah, 19-year-old turning 20. And got to last game of the season. We had Bury last game of the season, and had a phone call to say that I was getting released.
Phone call?
A phone call. I can't remember who it was from. I'm sure it was from Dean Smith. I'm sure it was. I'm not sure. I could, like, don't hold me to that. But he did say, like, he told me on the phone. No, sorry, it was my agent that told me, like, said they're not going to keep you on, but he wants you to go in so we can speak to you. So obviously I went in, and like fair enough, he spoke to me about it, but it was a pointless conversation just to say, like, thanks for like everything you've done here, but it's done sort of thing. So I was like, yeah. So obviously that was like gambling, and then having to deal with that was like, wow. Like,
So you've
crazy.
been at Villa. Villa have signed you from 7 or 8. You're at Villa for 12, 13 years. You go out on loan as soon as you've got your pro contract at Villa. You play 45 times, you come back and you're basically told that's it.
Yeah.
So imagine, as you said, 19, 20-year-old at that time, you've been at the club for 12 years. Like, I imagine you do some of your education through the club as well.
Yeah.
Where do you start with that? Especially because going through that, was that a contributor towards gambling more, do you think, in terms of where you were mentally? Or did your gambling sort of stay the same throughout, but sort of struggling to stop?
Yeah, probably stayed the same.
Stayed the same.
Yeah, and just like obviously carried on throughout. But yeah, it was a really difficult time. Obviously my gambling probably weren't at the worst it ever been at that point. But obviously it eventually getting worse and worse. But yeah, really difficult to take for being there for like 12, 13 years. But looking back at it, it's part of football, so everyone will go through it. So it was looking back, it done me the world of good in terms of like for myself, like looking back, like what I could have done better, etc.
Yeah.
Do I think I could have still played there if they gave me a chance? Maybe, but you'll never know. Like people look at me now thinking, oh, he's only playing League One, but if I got the chance, it might be different. Like you look at Jacob Ramsey, if he only went out on loan, then you get my gist. Like it's all about opinions. Football is, of course, same as every sport. Opinions is all that matters, and like at the end of the day, if someone don't like me, it doesn't mean someone else don't like me.
Yeah.
And it's just part of football. So do you know what I mean? So it does bother me, but it doesn't bother me at the same time. Like I'm not bitter about it.
And where'd you go as a 19-year-old? Do you family? Do you go to your mates? Like, what sort of support network have you got? Is there a support network from family and friends? Is there support coming from the club in terms of, right, we are going to release you after 12 years, but here we go, we can put you in touch with this person, or isn't?
No, I think from the club's point of view, it was like done, like sort of thing. But obviously, that's why you've got an agent. Like they're there to get you another club, etc. So, like I said, it's part of football with the club and you like splitting ways, sort of thing. But obviously, my mum, dad's like my best mate. Like lives, breathes football, goes to every one of my games. So obviously, talking to him like probably hit him harder than it hit me, sort of thing at the time.
Yeah.
But if it weren't for my dad, I'd probably be in a lot worse situation than what I am. And my mum, like, both been really good to me.
Got a good relationship with your old man?
Yeah, really, really good.
When did your old man find out about gambling? Was it around the same time it was coming out? And I know we're coming on to Accrington soon, but did you approach him first, or was it... Because I always feel, and I didn't have a particularly good relationship with my dad growing up, but I had a brilliant relationship with my mum. And for me, back then, when I was really struggling with gambling, I was shit scared, mate, saying to my mum. By the time I was 21, I'd lost 20 grand, 25 grand. And I was scared of the sort of the stigma that come with that. Were you able to lean on your old man for support and to sort of back you, or were you a bit iffy about telling him everything yourself as well?
Yeah, as much as I'm honest with my dad, the gambling thing really was like...
It's hard, isn't it?
It's like, I don't want to tell you, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it got to a point where I had to tell him.
Yeah.
And I told him, help me out, and I went back to gambling.
Right.
And then the second time I told him, it was like, I could have killed my dad. It was that like bad for him. Like,
Yeah.
I regret that to this day, but he understands what I was going through now, like seeing what's gone on, and obviously still supports me to the day, sort of thing. But obviously, I'll probably go into detail later on, like the situation.
Why do you think you struggled to kind of come clean about it all? Because obviously I know there's a stigma around addiction and stuff like that. You just didn't feel like you could come clean and tell him to what extent it was. Because I know for me, I hid it for years, and for me it was embarrassing. It was like shameful, all the guilt, and then I would lie to say, yeah, I'm done with it, and then next day I'm back on it again, hiding things and stuff like that. And it's just, was that similar for yourself?
Yeah, you pretty much like hit the nail on the head, sort of thing. Like, I think majority of the people with addiction will probably say the same. Like, I think just the guilt and like knowing what it's going to do to them is like, you don't want to put them in that situation.
100%.
So yeah, I agree with that, and yeah, I think that was just the hardest part of my family, and like
seeing how much it hurts them.
Yeah, seeing how much
it's devastating,
it hurts
isn't it?
Yeah.
I the first thing I say when against the odds go out and do sessions is, I can deal with the money I lost. The money's not really an issue. More if I would have fucking opened up and told my mum when I was 18, 19,
could have been so much better.
So much different, mate. But that's why we're here today, because there'll be 16, 17, 18, 19, 20-year-olds that will listen to this podcast and might think, probably better I'll deal with this head on than waiting for 10 years until I'm 30 and going down the same route as other people, or 25 like Mitch, for example.
So just quickly, Mitch, when you were at Port Vale, you've just started gambling. How long did it take for you to kind of think, hold on, this is getting a bit out of control? Was it instantly, or did it take months? Or in your head, were you thinking, well, I'll stop when I want to stop? And then it come to that point and you were like, oh, actually.
Yeah, like, don't know. I just feel like it was a case of, I knew I was losing loads of money, but I thought I'll just stop when like I feel like stopping. Like, obviously I was on decent money, thinking like it's not gonna affect me, sort of thing. It did, but I think it didn't get on till I'm probably a year and a half, 2 years into it, where I thought I've got a serious
it's getting a bit much.
like.
And do you think if you think about your mates groups, like you probably have different groups of mates from where you've been, school, etc., different clubs. Do you think there's more of a problem in this country than we think with people that continue to gamble more than once a week that will be losing money, that don't think they've got a gambling problem but they gamble? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm getting at with that?
Yeah.
Because like I've obviously I wouldn't name anyone, but I can think of 10, 15 people straight away in my head that I know gamble 4, 5, 6 times a week. I know if that early kickoff on a Saturday lets them down, they're gambling again. If the accumulate lets them down, they'll go on again on the Sunday. And for me, it's almost like we've grown up and that's the normal. It's normal to do that sort of gamble at the weekend, gamble when the footy's on, gamble when you're going for a drink. But do you think that is part of the problem, that how normalised it's become?
Yeah, I think like in England especially, like the culture for gambling is crazy.
It's mad, isn't it?
I think people just think it's the norm.
Yeah.
And that's where I think the issue is. Like, the amount like my mates won't like be afraid for me to say like they'll have a gamble.
Yeah.
But like that outer like in the group chats now you see like people are doing like every day like and it's crazy. And I'll say to people like that I know like you've got an issue.
Yeah.
They're like no like no I ain't. And I'm like well, I'm telling you you have.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day like you will know like people will only help themselves if they want to help
when
themselves.
They're ready and
when they're ready, do you know what I mean? Like,
Leicester City's the next club. Yeah. Villa to Leicester. Easy move for you, quite local, West Midlands to East Mids. Did you know anyone there? How did it come about, the move to Leicester?
New people there.
Right.
Worst move I could have possibly done.
Was it?
Yes.
Why?
Hands down. Didn't go to play football, did I, for the first team, let's be honest. Knew like going from Villa, playing first team football for Port Vale when I could have went back to Port Vale to play another year of football, which I should have done.
Finance driven, the move?
Finance driven.
Yeah.
I'll hands down say that, finance driven. Bit of down to not my current agent, my old agent. I'd probably put.
I read something about this.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you'd want to talk about this.
No. Well, like I won't. I don't want to like
badmouth
anyone, but I'd probably say a bit of it was down to my agent, the move. So
right,
regret it completely. Worst 3 years of my life there.
Really?
Yeah.
I had no idea that was coming. Sorry, carry on, bro.
I know you said money was one of the main drivers. I'm just looking at it from an addict's point of view, and if I knew I was getting more money, I'd be like, sound, more spending. Is that how you viewed it?
Yeah, exactly. No one actually knows this. Like even my mum and dad, but I may as well say it now because they know I'm a gambling addict. So a lot of the decision was down to the fact that it was even more money to get me out of like situations.
Yeah.
I priced up what the wages were elsewhere compared to then. I'm thinking it's more money to gamble, sort of thing. Do you know what I mean?
It's mad, isn't it?
But I still didn't think at the time like I've got an issue. Like I just thought, it's more money. Like I can get away with it, sort of thing.
Mate, that's how I was for 10 years at my birthday and Christmas. I knew there was money coming in, and straight away I'm thinking I'll be looking at the fixtures for the Boxing Day games and the New Year's Eve games, and then the early January games because my birthday and Christmas are near each other. And I'm picking teams out before I even know how much is in my fucking card. I'm thinking I know I'll get roughly about 500 quid treble on. And that's Christmas money. Like, it's, that I'm giving straight to the bookies. It's ridiculous, really.
Especially when when I find myself clean, I look back on some of the things I was doing. And probably for you as well, as a young lad, you probably always thought, I'm always going to go to the best club that's going to provide me with the best football.
Yeah.
But then your addictions took over, and it's all gone for the money, and it's ended up being 3 terrible years, as you said. And it's just like, that's how powerful addiction is. Like, it's probably took you away from what could have been a good decision. Obviously, everything's happened for a reason, and it's all worked out well. But it's just like, that's like how crazy and powerful it is. And was there, did you reach out to anyone at all before this in regards to your gambling, or just kept it all to yourself?
Just kept it all to myself, parents, the partner at the time. I had no clue about it. It was crazy. It was probably in that first year in Leicester where it started creeping out to people like in like my family, partner's family, come out sort of thing. So like you said, no one knew at the time, which looking back, it was a bad decision.
Mate, it must have been so mentally tiring, like keeping that secret, like every day, especially having losses and stuff like that. Just coming back thinking, what have I done? And then like, right, tomorrow's a fresh day, I'll start again. And then you do the same thing, and you just can't change it, can you?
No, it's like you said. Then like I used to say to myself before bed, like, you're stopping tomorrow.
Yeah,
you're stopping. You'd get to about 12 o'clock in the afternoon, like, no, don't do it. And then
as soon as you finish training,
as soon as I finish training, I'm straight on my phone, like on the online casino or something, and it's like just nuts how powerful like your mind can be in the sense like the addiction is crazy.
Did you find, so if I, again, thinking about myself, I lost relationships over it. I had family fallouts, I had selling personal possessions, you name it, man, it pretty much impacted me when it comes to gambling. But did you find that you were telling lies? So, and what I mean by that is, for example, I'd book a holiday with an ex-partner. I didn't have any fucking spending money. I'd lose like 3 weeks before I was about to go. And then I'm saying, work ain't put money into my account. I'm just coming up with loads of bullshit, mate. Do you know what I mean?
No, yeah.
Do you ever find yourself in that situation where you
like the little white lies that
the
you
little
just
white ones,
constantly telling? I think
crop up 4 weeks later and you think, I never said that.
Yeah, I think the one that stands out the most was my first holiday with my ex-partner. My mum and dad had to pay for the holiday.
Yeah.
And I can't remember what the reason was, but it was because I didn't have the money to pay for the holiday. I did pay my mum and dad back the money, but at the time I didn't have the money to pay like 1,500 quid to just go on holiday. Never mind the fact that I've been on this much money. But yeah, like just the little white lies, like even like go from training and I wouldn't be back till like 5, 6 o'clock in the evening. I'll be saying, I've been stuck in traffic or something. Do you know what I mean?
Stuck in traffic for 5 hours.
Yeah. Like,
No,
sorry, I can't get home. I'm stuck in traffic. There's been a crash. She probably could search up in it saying clear traffic. You know what I mean?
But it's mad, isn't it? When you reflect on it and you think, fuck me, how did it make...
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So,
go on.
Sorry, just I think because my parents, my mum had to bail me out many a time. I guess people always say, how don't they spot it and stuff like that? But we're so good at lying, so good at hiding it. And as a parent, you probably never want to think that about your child. When they had to kind of bail you out with the holiday and stuff like that, was there any questions asked as to like, you're a young lad, you're on good money, what's going on?
No, not all. Like you said, I think as parents, like they don't want to assume the worst sort of thing. And at the end of the day, their parents, they love you, like they'll do anything for you sort of thing. It weren't until that, like I think, like 2021, they found out completely when I like broke down to my old man on the phone, and that's when like I had to say to him, I need money to like bail me out, and they did, like paid them back, but just that conversation was horrendous.
The fear of having the conversation.
What was it like after though? Because I remember like, when I did it was just like weight off my shoulders. I was like,
when you did what? Sorry.
When I like spoke to mum about it and that, like I finally came clean about everything.
Like the proper. I want to sort this out now.
Yeah. Like the weight off my shoulders was just phenomenal. I was like, probably the first time I actually didn't feel like I was alone with it. But I think still in my head I was thinking, yeah, she'll bail me out and then I'll be back on it at the weekend.
Yeah, it's bad to laugh about.
Yeah, but you got to now though, ain't you?
But that's what I mean. I'm the exact same. I like did it way off my shoulders, but I'm known straight away. Like I'm going back to that.
Yeah.
I so regret it because like my mum and dad saying to me, you can't ever do it again to us, and I did it again to them. And that second time, like I said to you, I pretty much nearly killed them. And
you feel, do you know what? You feel like a worthless piece of shit, don't you?
Yeah.
Just finish on Leicester. Was it Brendan Rodgers in charge when you went there?
Yeah.
Did you get to work with him much or not?
I had the odd training sessions. I got the impression he didn't like me, so definitely didn't like me. In fact, didn't get the impression I knew he didn't like me. Yeah. Don't think many people there like me.
They're not?
No.
So the big one is obviously the main talking point. To 26th of August 2021, signed for Accrington Stanley on a 2-year deal. You go on to make 65 appearances for the club. However, the most notable element of that spell is obviously why you're here today. and what happened in May 2023. 2000, yeah, that's right. So 9th of May 2023, BBC News put an article out there, and then a couple of other media outlets as well, that said Accrington Stanley defender Mitch Clark has been charged with misconduct in relation to alleged breaches of betting rules by the FA. The charge for the 24-year-old relates to the alleged placing of 312 bets on football matches between the 8th of Feb and 10th of March, 13 months. Suspended with a 3-month suspension. Sorry, a 3-month suspension that was suspended. So you don't do anything. If nothing happens within that 3 months, you're okay? Or if something happened in the next 2 years, you'd be punished?
Yeah, if something happened in the next 2 years, I'd get the 3-month ban plus
Whatever was coming next.
was coming next sort of thing. So
And a £600 fine.
And £600 fine, yeah.
Talk us through that, mate. So where should we start with that, Conor?
Well, I guess, first of all, we were reading the FA report, weren't we?
Yeah, mate, you can actually read the report,
You
can't
can
you?
read the whole thing, yeah.
And they seem to be like almost on your side because of how honest you were and that you're already putting the work in and stuff like that. Was that what was that experience like, first of all?
Wow. I remember, it was the hardest. But like, I don't cry often, but I had a phone call. So I had a missed call off the technical director at Aki, David Burgess, and missed call, and then had the gaffer call me. And I'm thinking, what's going on? The gaffer.
Do you have any idea?
Had no idea.
None
At all. Gaffer's on the phone to me. He says, Mitch, you all right? I went, yeah. I went, I've had a missed call off Dave Burgess. He was like, yeah, you got to call him back. He says, club's been told like you've been betting. When I say my heart just sank.
Ghost.
I was just like a ghost. I had thousands of things going through me and thinking, what I'm going to tell my dad, what I'm going to tell my current partner, like, my God, the thought. And then obviously I spoke to the technical director. He was just like, look, we'll support you. Like, you'll keep playing. We'll like go through this, like talk to our media team, etc. Yeah. I found this out in April, so the article obviously didn't come out for a month. So I knew for a month.
Sleepless nights.
Yes, sleepless nights, and obviously playing football in front of the fans, knowing like I'm getting done here for betting, like, and then obviously there was a few bets in there that included Accrington.
Yeah,
I knew like it was all just gonna come straight back at me. I was like, I'll accept it, like I can take the criticism, but obviously people don't understand what the addiction is like.
Yeah,
doesn't give me any right to bet on football, and at the time when I was doing it, I didn't think anything of it. I knew it was bad, but at the same time, my head's telling me, just do it. It's £5 accumulator. What's it gonna do? Like, and I regret it to this day, but at the same time, it's the best thing that's ever happened to me.
So up until kind of now, all your betting and stuff has been casinos, roulette, stuff like that, and now it's kind of rolled over into football.
Yeah.
Was that because? Was there a time you can remember that made you think, "I'll fuck the casino games now"? So he's told me I shouldn't be swearing on the podcast, and I know I've swore 4 times, so we'll get a swear char. Was it something that made you, I ain't doing blackjack anymore, that's a joke, I'm going on to the football now, or was it just gambling on football?
Yeah, I think it would have had a part. I was big on roulette.
Yeah, same. Certain numbers, your birthday.
Certain number, that number right there.
23.
Well, that was my first Football League number, so that's where that number come from, so that's why it's on my neck.
Could you do the board all the way around without looking?
No,
that's what I was like, bro.
Wasn't that bad.
I used to go 26, 0, 32, and I have to go all the way around, mate. It was mad.
There was actually one point where I basically put money on every number. That's like how bad it was, like, just so I got money back.
So what were you hoping for?
Well, this is what I mean. Like, it was just the fact that I loved the spin. I just watching it spin.
The
like,
buzz of watching
the spin.
Can we go back for 1 minute? So that news in Accrington come out in, where is it? 9th of May 2023. You've had no idea that was about to be in the news. What's going on in Mitch Clark's head before he knows this is coming out? How bad is he struggling with gambling before this hits the mainstream news? Like, are you thinking? Do you know how bad you're struggling at this point before it's gone mainstream? And
well, as soon as that conversation hit that I was getting done for gambling, I stopped that day.
Right.
That's how big it hit me.
Right.
I stopped that day.
Yeah.
Obviously, I got help that day. Like I was talking to the PFA about counselling, rehab courses. Like the only reason I didn't go to a rehab course was because it was in season, so I couldn't go because I was playing games. Obviously, Aki were in a relegation battle.
Right.
Unfortunately, we got relegated, but I still couldn't go because I'd classed myself as one of the main players there. So it's the only reason I didn't go then. It resorted to counselling. But yeah, I knew right then that my issue was big. Not just because I got done from football, but the fact that the money I lost before that, looking back on it, is like, why have I not done anything sooner?
From an educational perspective, do you know when you're placing these bets that it's breaching, is it the E8 rule? The FA's E8 rule around gambling?
E8.1 or something
E8,
like that, yeah.
Are you aware that you're breaking the rules, or is it purely from an addiction perspective where a couple of quid here won't do, five of there won't do, or do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Obviously, from when I was in Villa, Leicester, every year, even now, every year, the FA will come in and give you saying you can't bet, etc.
Yeah.
But like you said then, just because I was betting a couple of quid on accumulators now, I'm thinking the addiction, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Obviously there is.
Yeah.
Because you're a footballer, so. But people will be probably listening to this thinking, what an asshole, what are you doing? But they just don't understand what's going through your head.
Yeah.
And obviously it's just the same as a casino, watching it spin. It was just seeing the scores just change from 1-0 to 1-1, thinking,
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Obviously everyone knows that there's no intention of me match fixing or anything. Cause
I was just about to say that because you made a point a second ago on on the mic where you said you made a few bets on your team.
Yeah.
Now, Merson made a great point on Sky Sports News. Sorry, Taylor, I know I keep moving. Merson made a great point on Sky Sports News the other week where he said if Ivan Toney was betting against his own team to lose and he was playing, fraud, because you could effectively let a goal in, misplaced pass. You've never done that.
No.
But you've bet on Accrington to win, which you can't adjust that yourself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You could have a hand in Accrington losing a game and bet that, but you can't have a hand in Accrington winning a game purpose. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm trying to get at?
Yeah, I did love the club, loved playing for them. Still would love to play for them. But it was just watching the odds, it was crazy.
Did you get to say, because obviously as a player you build up relationship, rapport with the fans, with the club, community, etc. Did you get to say goodbye to Accrington, or was it very much see you later, goodbye?
Yeah, it was obviously the gaffer said we'll see what the outcome is and then we'll go from there. But because the hearing took a few months, my contract was coming up to the end, so we had to make a decision. And he phoned me and he was like, "Look, I want to keep you, but Ivan Toney's just come out that he was getting 8 months, and obviously I had more bets than him, so they're obviously thinking he's screwed here.
Yeah.
So they're like, we can't take the risk.
Yeah.
And it must have been 4 days later I found out obviously what my outcome was. Hugely grateful to the panel, etc. for listening to me.
Yeah.
Obviously I was truthful in everything I said, everything that I said but meant, I was sorry, had an addiction, which they took into account. They also took into account the fact that I was out of contract, what he was going to do to a young lad for his future, what mental state it put him in. So in terms of welfare, they really looked after me there, and obviously I'm grateful for it, and still to this day it's done me a world of good. Yeah.
And if we go back to when the article first got dropped and you, like you said, you turn into a ghost straight away, you're thinking, fucking hell, I need to tell my mum, my dad's going to see this, it's on BBC News, etc., etc. How did the next few days go after that article dropping? Did you have to put a call into your mum and dad? Did you have to put a call in?
No, I told them that day I had to call off.
Did you?
Aki. I phoned my girlfriend first, crying my eyes out.
Yeah.
And I think I lied to her first. I can't remember what I said. I lied to her, but I was crying and.
So trying to push the blame away from you and blame someone else.
Yeah, I think I just said it was when I weren't with her.
Yeah.
And I was with her because the bets were when I was with her, but it was a stupid lie because before that I didn't bet on football, so it was she's obviously going to click on one time. Then I phoned her 10 minutes later and just told her the truth. Then I phoned my mum and dad and they both cried their eyes out. They come round the house and think my dad didn't talk to me for about a week, and then just sat me down, just said, just tried having a conversation. But yeah, that was really hard. Didn't tell my friends for a while.
Right.
Probably like a week before the article come out. I think just the thought of the article coming out, seeing what people are going to say about you, and also local like Bedworth and Eton, like everyone's going to know. You're going to be the talk of the town sort of thing. So that was difficult to think about.
And what was it for you? Because obviously for me, my addiction is like substances. So mine was cocaine. So when I know you said people that don't have addiction issues, like they won't understand. Like they just think, dickhead, just stop. But it's not that easy. Like when I was going through a bad time or something like that, the only good thing I felt I had in my life was using drugs. And in the minute of using it, it was like, for me, it was, because I got like an instant hit. It just took me away from everything. Nothing else mattered in that time except using drugs. And like, it was just, I got such a rush, such a buzz off it. Like it was the only thing making me feel good. What was it for you, like in regards to gambling, that was kind of drawing you back?
I think just like, obviously, football's stressful. Like it really is. So when I'm going to the casino, like my mind just goes elsewhere. Like I don't even think about football. I don't think who's outside of football, like, or my family. I'm just concentrating on casino. Yeah. So I'm just that fixated on it. It was. It's weird to say it was like a happy place, like just being there, but obviously at the same time it was my worst nightmare sort of thing. Does that make sense?
Mate,
like,
my happy place used to be my bedroom and 2 bags. And how sad and depressed does that sound?
No,
and at the time I was like, this is fucking wicked.
Yeah.
And it's just not.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
What followed on from the BBC News headline? Was it, and by that I mean, were you getting people message you and say, fucking hell, you on BBC News? Or were you getting people message you and say, you all right, bro? Were people understanding its addiction, or were people thinking, idiot, he's messed this up? Or are you still a bit...
I had a few of my mates, like, don't have many close mates, but majority of them would message me asking, like, if I'm all right and that. But then, like Ash, my cousin, like, sent me a screenshot, like I'm in the chat, like football chat, like, about it, and like they're asking him questions, and like, obviously he's probably feeling awkward, like, in the chat and that. So it's like knowing that I'm just in every chat that you could possibly think of, just being talked about, like, thinking what a loser sort of thing. But like you said, like, they just don't understand, do they?
Yeah, horrible feeling as well, isn't it?
Oh, it's the worst.
So, suspended 3 months suspension, £600 fine. What are you doing throughout that 3 month period when you can't play football? Are you, because boredom before was being filled with gambling, now you can't gamble. Everyone in the country that is into football or supports any teams you've been at knows you can't gamble, which then puts, I suppose, an element that I actually can't bet now, because if someone catches me, I'm fucked. So, but what did that 3 months look like? Was it a difficult 3 months? Was it having to keep yourself fit? How did you keep your mental state right?
Well, I was actually, when I found out I was getting released from Mackie, obviously thinking I was getting banned for a long time. I was looking for jobs. I was looking at nighttime warehouses in like freezers and all that. Like, I wasn't even thinking about keeping fit. I was thinking about money, like to keep got a house, keeping my bills going.
Yeah.
Like me and my missus sitting down, my missus like near enough breaking up with me because like it's like you've ruined like trust, etc.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm just looking at keeping my bills going. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so I wasn't even thinking about football, and then obviously found out that I was 3 months suspended sentence. So I was like, right, I can actually go and play football. And I got a call from Port Vale saying, like, we're going to sign you. And I'm like, oh, thank God for that. Like, don't have to go and work in a warehouse.
I remember I messaged you. You probably won't remember it. I messaged you on Instagram, and I hadn't seen the article come out. I think it was about a month after the article. Yeah. And we were talking about stuff and that, and you said, I said, what's the plan from here then? You literally had no idea. You said, I'm going to look at jobs. And I was very much like, you'd be sound, mate. You can play football. Yeah. But obviously that weren't how you were feeling, was it? You were thinking, I just need to get money. I need to keep going.
Yeah.
In terms of having a living and bringing dough in every month and stuff like that.
Yeah, it was so crazy.
A couple of questions, then I'd say we wrap it up. What were your views on the relationship between gambling and elite sport? We've seen 10, 12 players in the UK in the last 18 months come out to have addiction, breach betting rules, be banned, etc. There is an increase. It seems like there's more and more players each season. At the same time, you go to a football match and 77 to 89% of the game, you'll see a gambling sponsor around the stadium. You look at the front of football shirts, there's gambling sponsors there. We've got football stadiums named after gambling adverts in between football. I even heard the other day that there's been a window in a live football match, just before the kickoff starts, that's been created for the gambling companies to get that final gambling advert in just before it kicks off. So I look at these case studies with students all the time in terms of the impacts, but what are your views on it?
I think it's too much now.
Yeah.
I do understand like sponsorships, etc. Like I do understand that like that's where the revenue comes from, like to keep football clubs going, like the FA and etc. But I just think there's got to be like just support for footballers, because there's that much money in football now.
Yeah.
And there's that much time they've got on their hands. They just need help. But
so you go from thinking, I'm potentially getting a ban here, might not be playing football again, could lose my missus, family could fall out on me, all these things are going through your head. Then you finally get the opportunity to go back to Port Vale for third time?
Fourth
time?
Fourth time, yeah. 3 loan spells there before that.
So how are you feeling when you get back there? You're not gambling anymore. When you signed your contract at Port Vale, how long had it gone before, how long had it been since you hadn't had a bet sort of thing? Should have done the maths for you on that one, sorry.
Yeah. When did I sign? I think I signed, was it August? I think I signed August, so what's that?
About 4 months.
Yeah, about 4 months without a gamble. Obviously, still very early. Like I'm probably still saying I'm early now, only a year.
Yeah.
Without gambling, but I still feel like I'm still like nowhere. Like you said, you're gonna be an addict for the rest of your life. But I still feel so vulnerable, like in terms of, like when I'm around machines and that, like thinking about it. But
mate,
touch wood, I'm
glad you said that, bro, because when I first started going out and doing the sessions with students, I used to say, what did I used to say? I'm a former gambling addict. That's what I used to say, I'm a former gambling addict. And we went and met the Big Step, which is a part of Gambling with Lives, which is a charity set up to support families that have lost loved ones from gambling-related suicide. And the bloke, the head of education there, a guy called James Grimes, said to me, you're a recovering gambling addict. You're in recovery. And when I thought on that, mate, he's right. I'll always be a recovering gambling addict because I can't get away from gambling. I work from home, so I listen to the radio, listen to Talk Sport, gambling odds all day. To get to the gym, I have to go past Coral. Even at night, all the bookies' lights are still on, so you can't fucking miss them. You get reminded when football's on that there's odds, next goal scorer, Ray Winston's, Big Ed. It's everywhere, mate, isn't it? Absolutely everywhere. So although I don't feel like gambling anymore, which I never thought I'd be able to say, you can still see how people fall back into it quite quickly with the temptations everywhere, can't you?
Yeah, 100%.
So happy at Port Vale, all good?
Yeah.
Enjoying it? Enjoying life?
You're loving it there. Obviously, been a really bad season personally and as a team at the minute.
Yeah.
Personally, this has been the worst situation for me with injuries-wise, because it's the first time I've had big injuries.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, my knee was a freak accident in terms of like the way it happened. And unfortunately, my quad just didn't hold up after my knee.
Yeah.
I'm hoping next year, as if like I'm looking to be like on fire next year, like as if it's like my last season, like.
Nice.
So I'm
raring to
go for next season.
Just
prove people wrong.
Just quickly, when you said about obviously you're being an addict for life and stuff like that, I think coming to terms with it and actually identifying as an addict, having the acceptance, is such a big part, and it's one of the hardest parts to actually accept you're an addict and you've got these issues. But once you've accepted it, I guess, I've definitely accepted it, but you still have them days like, man, maybe I'm not. But that's just your head talking crap to you. How long did it take for you to actually say, yeah, I'm an addict? And how long did it take for you to like properly accept it, if you have accepted it?
Took me probably 6-7 months to like actually say like I'm a proper gambling addict.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'd say to my therapist at the time, like, yeah, I am a gambling addict, but thinking,
no, I'm not.
I'm not.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm not. But if it weren't for like my girlfriend now and my parents say you've got to keep going,
Yeah.
I'd probably be back to like square one in terms of casino. But yeah, it took me a good 6-7 months to accept it, and then the longer it's gone on, and just keep saying to myself, I'm a gambling addict, it has helped me to not gamble.
Massively. And do you find that now, instead of waking up thinking, look how much I've lost, look at all the people I've lied to, like just waking up with a clear head. I know obviously we have our hard days and that, but you know, not living this double life, it's so much better, isn't it?
Yeah, so much better. I think,
So much better.
I think, like you said, just having that weight lifted off your shoulders, knowing like people know what you're going through, accepting who you are, sort of thing. Still days now, like I suffer with anxiety bad from my gambling. Like I'll go to bed and like my chest be tight, overthinking things 24/7. Like my missus and my mum and dad know about my anxiety. Not many other people do, to be fair, but I think that's another thing that comes from my gambling, like the anxiety. I
Massively,
don't know about
definitely,
you,
mate.
Yeah.
but yeah, I think that's another thing. Like after gambling, you still got things to deal with.
Yeah.
But
Definitely.
it's so much easier now that it's out there. I can pick up the phone to like one of probably 8 people, close friends, and say, look, I'm struggling. You got 5 minutes to chat. When I would never have done that when I was in active addiction.
Yeah.
But now they're like, yeah, everyone's got time for you, especially the people who kind of want to see you succeed and get on the right path. Yeah. It's just such a better way of living, isn't it?
Yep. I've got one last thing to finish on before Taylor potentially strangles us for running over time. Back to pre-season, day one, next season. 17-year-old comes up to you from the academy and says, Mitch, I'm big gambling. I need your help. What do you advise this young chap to do?
Firstly, thank him for coming to me and talking to me.
Yeah.
I think that's the first step, coming and opening up to someone.
Yeah.
Secondly, tell him to go to the PFA, talk to someone, also tell his family.
Yeah.
And just stick to it.
Yeah.
Just believe in the process.
Yeah.
I think if you don't believe in the process, you've got no hope. But at the end of the day, I think like you said earlier, talking to someone that's an addict will help you as well. Just to understand that you're not alone.
Yeah.
And I think that's the problem as well. A lot of addicts think they're alone in it.
Yeah.
When they're not. Like you said, you'll have loads of people that are there to help you.
Yeah.
Appreciate your time, bro.
Yeah, mate. What a way to celebrate 1 year today, eh?
Yeah.